Welcome to Revolutionary Gazette. I'm Will. Today we're at Colonial Plantation outside of Philadelphia. They're a member institution of ALFAM, which is a strategic partner of ours in helping us bring more great historic content to you. I'd like to introduce you to Eva Mergen. Eva, where are we?
So we are in a portion of the kitchen garden where we grow dyes to use for clothing.
Okay, well tell me about dyes in the 18th century.
So in the 18th century, all of the dyes came from nature, whether it was from roots, leaves, flowers, funguses, or even bugs sometimes.
And what's the purpose of a dye in this context?
So the dye is going to put color into your fabric. Different colors come from different sources. Modern clothing is all dyed with chemical dyes.
Now, why are we going to do this on our farm?
It's an easy way to refresh your clothing. It's an easy way to add some interest to your wardrobe. Yeah.
And why do it at home?
Because it's cheaper. You can grow your materials and do it at home, and you don't have to pay to have it done. And you also, it's just one of those things that you can roll into your yearly cycle.
Fantastic. Well, in the Revolutionary War era farm and household, what fabrics are we going to dye mostly?
Okay, so in the 18th century, wool was the easiest material to dye. Protein fibers like wool and silk take the dye much more readily, whereas linen, which was very common, and cotton, which was not quite as common in the 18th century, are cellulose fibers. They're plant fibers. And they don't take the dye as easily. You have to do a lot more prep work on them. So wool, if you're going to be dyeing at home, wool is a much easier thing to dye.
Okay, well, let's just give up the gag to everybody. We're going to start a series of videos here with you guys at Colonial Plantation, and we're going to go from dye plants in the ground to completely dyed wool.
Yes, we are.
So
we are, and we're going to be using this plant here. This is Weld. It produces a beautiful bright yellow dye that's actually known for being faster than most dyes. And I'm not talking about running away. I'm talking about the ability for the dye to stay in the fabric. So natural dyes have a tendency to wash out or fade out in the sunlight. Fast dyes are dyes that stay really well in the fabric, and Weld is known for being a faster yellow.
Great. Well, we've got yellow with the Weld. Are all four of these different plants in different colors?
Yep, different plants in different colors. So we've got Weld, which is yellow. We've also got the Dyer's Chamomile here, and the flowers produce a yellow dye, whereas the leaves will produce all sorts of interesting shades of green. Behind you, we have the madder plant. This produces your rusty red shades, and it can, with the proper mordants, which is a chemical used to fix the dye to the fabric, can produce brighter reds.
So fixing is to make something more fast.
Yes, yes. Well, and to make it stick at all. There are certain dyes that if you put them in without a mordant, it'll just come out the same color you put it in as.
Great. And madder, before we move on, let's talk Revolutionary War. What do we know out of this?
So this would have been used for lower ranks of redcoats. This is a very, very old dye in Europe and has been used for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And so, yeah, this would have been your lower ranks of redcoats. Your higher ranks of redcoats would have had the more expensive cochineal dye, which is a bug that produces beautiful, very fast, bright red shades.
Great. And our final box?
So behind us, this is our Woad. And Woad produces the same chemical that indigo does. So you've got that same pigment in this plant as in the indigo plant. It's not as in a high concentration in this plant. So if you had the choice between dyeing with Woad or dyeing with indigo, you would probably choose indigo. That being said, this is the blue that has been in Europe for centuries, whereas indigo grows in hotter regions. And this is also the one that grows around here. You've got to go a little further south of here to, say, South Carolina before you're growing indigo on this continent.
Okay. Well, we'll save some of the secrets of dyeing and some of the processes for different episodes. But since we're in the garden and with the plants, which of these plants do we harvest and use fresh, and are there any that we need to prepare a different way?
Okay, so the Dyer's Chamomile in front of me, you can use the flowers either fresh or dried. The leaves need to be used fresh. This one can be used fresh or dried. The Woad has to be used fresh, and the madder has to be used dried. So it varies a lot depending on your plants.
Okay, and those that are fresh or dried, do we get different colors, or do we just have the ability to dye at different times of the year?
Just the ability to preserve it. So this time of year is a busy time of year. You can pop all those heads off the Dyer's chamomile, and you can wait till a quieter time of year to do your dyeing.
Fantastic. Well, we've got yellow, a light yellow, green, red, and blue. There's more colors than that, but let's save that for a different time.
Okay.
So thanks for being with us at Revolutionary Gazette. There's a lot to learn that affects a family in the Revolutionary War era as they try to make clothing. Dyeing the wool is one step, and we're going to see a lot of tricks coming up. Join us again soon.